1 week ahead of primary day, Western Mass News is digging deeper on the numbers of voters who are participating in vote by mail and early in-person voting.
Our very own Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo joins us live with the details. Audrey?
According to the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office, a quarter of Massachusetts voters have requested a mail-in ballot. Now, as Sarah's story pointed out, there are a lot of people with concern that those mail-in ballots might not actually make it to election officials in time. So to that end, Secretary William Galvin is recommending that everyone hand deliver their ballot if they can, and to make sure that every voice is heard by September 1st.
If you plan to vote by mail in the primary, your ballot must reach your local election office by September 1st at 8 p.m. It's not enough that it be postmarked by that date. It actually has to be in the building. Secretary of the Commonwealth William Galvin, speaking to Western Mass News by phone, says people concerned about the speed of the mail can hand-deliver ballots in either drop boxes set up for this very purpose, or
you can bring the ballot into your local clerk's office.
Western Mass News, taking a look through 8 local communities, found that as of Tuesday morning, around half of all ballots requested have been returned, or an early ballot was cast. Springfield sits at 41% and Holyoke at 57%. Galvin says the interest in these communities likely stems from the congressional primary between incumbent Richard Neal and Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse.
You have the first congressional contest, which is going to be a reinforcer also to bring people out to vote.
Not to mention the U.S. Senate race between Ed Markey and Joe Kennedy. Galvin says getting your primary ballot in on time is important because per state law, none can be accepted after September 1st.
The reason for the statute being that way is to allow us to prepare the final ballot. Remember, the primary is going to determine who appears on the ballot.
Have you voted yet?
I certainly have.
There's 1 week left until primary day, but tomorrow marks an important date. 100 years since the 19th Amendment was ratified, giving some women the right to vote.
We didn't have the vote in 1920 for our black and indigenous women.
Women are so almost overwhelmingly involved in the political process.
Linda Mattis O'Connell represents the Springfield Democratic City Committee. Adrian Terrizzi, the Amherst League of Women Voters. 100 years later, and with a pandemic as the backdrop, each woman describes the importance of everyone participating in elections.
Their participation is not only welcome, but critical to defending our democracy.
That's an action that I take as my most democratic right.
Right now, there's a lawsuit underway trying to force the state to accept primary ballots after September 1st. Secretary Galvin says he hopes that the law doesn't change because he fears it could jeopardize the amount of time that election officials have to prepare the November ballot. And speaking of November, Galvin says that if you're hoping to cast your ballot for the presidential election by mail, that you should start requesting your ballot now. As he says, town clerks' offices are already going to be overwhelmed with traffic for that particular contest, and he wants to make sure that people have plenty of time to make sure that their voices are heard. Reporting live, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.
Audrey, thank you for that live report.